Good morning, and good morning. It is Friday, and it's the weekend, baby. Y'all ready for the weekend? You ready for maybe a little less worrying, less, dealing with the TV on the news stations, worrying about tariffs, worrying about eggs, all the things that's in the news, all the things that are out there making us concerned, making us, you know, somewhat weary. That's today's word, weary. Are you weary? I can say that I am. I am. I'm tired of all that I hear, sometimes all that I see, and sometimes all that I even think I know, or that someone's trying to feed me, to tell me. And it's not that I listen to everything, but sometimes you can't avoid it. You have to know something about what's going on in the world. And even if it's not in your direct faces being in the world, it still may be affecting you. And so I'm going to say good morning on Friday. I was excited to do this word because I was looking back, and I've been doing Are You Stuck since 2015. So I've been doing Are You Stuck 10 years. I think the first, well, it really nine, because I used to do little things, little different kinds of training, and all of a sudden in 16, that was my first session, and I did it in 17, and so forth and so on. And I'm still doing it because I really feel the value of us sometimes asking ourselves the question, are we stuck? Are we stuck on listening too much, seeing too much, doing too much, being available too much, all of those kinds of things? Good morning, Joan. Good morning, Joan. Yay, Joan. I always love to see you coming into the space. I still want us to keep Deb in our prayer, because she still has some family that are going through their severe medical conditions and issues. So let's keep her up in prayer. And she always thinks about you. Good morning, Ardelia. Okay, I got some folks really want to talk about being weary, being weary. And I found two examples this morning. And one, I had to go back because I am a note taker at my church. When I go to church, I always take notes. And so on March 14th, 2020, and I believe, now my pastor and also Dr. Um, Wesley gave a sermon and says, don't get weary. Don't get weary. And it says, see Thessalonians 3:13, keep on working. How many of us, can even get into that? The idea that regardless of all this distraction, all this stuff that's going on, we keep have to going forward, looking to what can give us peace, looking to what may who will get us out of here. And I always say I don't try to make my Are You Stuck sessions ones that people can't come to and find out who they are in the middle of what everybody else might be worshiping or acknowledging or caring for or loving or whatever. You do you. But I do want to say that I am a believer of God. I am a God-fearing woman. I'm worried about if I do something that leads people wrong, what will happen? I ask God to always forgive me, because I don't do everything right. None of us do. But anyway, this don't get weary set in my soul this morning and I started last night, and I woke up again, and I said, I wonder, do I have anything where a sermon was done on that? And it was, don't get weary. See Thessalonians 3:13, keep on working. And also he said, see John 9:4. And the three takeaways from the message were keep working, keep waiting, and keep worshiping. That I know that is something that I plan on doing. I know that we're going to have to wait. Everybody knows that. We're going to wait on whatever's next. Whatever's next. We don't know what's next. And we may not be patiently waiting. We may be wearily waiting. And I'm saying, okay, let's try to get out of the weariness. because it is what it is. Whatever we're going to go through, we got to get through it to say we're on the other side of it. We have to. So anyway, that was that. But then I also went to my secular side, and I found this poem called Tired. And you know, tired is also a form of weariness. And it says, and it's by Langston Hughes. It says, I am so tired of waiting, aren't you? For the world to become good and beautiful and kind. Let us take a knife and cut the world in two and see what worms are eating at the rind. Heavy, huh? That's heavy stuff. Langston Hughes. You know, Langston Hughes. He always, to me, you know, did things that was almost, it was lyrical. It almost had, you almost could put music to it when he spoke, when his words, and you read them on paper, because, you know, he was part of the Harlem Renaissance. And so, you know, you hear these words and he lets you know of the pain he went through, of the anxiety he went through, and of the worry he went through. Even when he says, I'm tired. I'm tired is a form of being weary. We all get weary? We do. Good morning, Calethea. How are you? Good to see you in the space. We do get weary. You know, let's face who we really are. Our weariness sometimes takes over for us. It answers for us. It speaks for us. You know, it shows for us, because sometimes you cannot, you know, pay attention to the fact that we look tired and somebody recognizes that we look tired. Others may even say, girl, you tired. Guy, you need to go get some rest. Okay. And we even say it in our, you know, our statements to people, our responses to people in social media. We let them know. So let's get into this, because I really thought this was, and I'm going to ask that question. Do you get weary? I want you to write it down in there. Some people say they don't. And I think that those folks don't recognize, from my counseling, you know, abilities that I did for years and years and years. I believe at times we can all get weary. You know, it could be somebody's sickness or their impending death, or it could be finances, or it could be your spouse, it could be your children, it could be the job or the people at the job. All of those things can give us a form of weariness where we are just kind of worn out. So put a yes in there if you could occasionally get weary. Doesn't say that it stays there. It just says that that's our truth. So it says weary is the feeling or showing tiredness, especially as a result of excessive exertion or lack of sleep. It says almost like to the point of being exhausted in your strength, in your endurance, in your vigor, or in your freshness. Now, how many of us sometimes are still working through whatever's going on, even though we are overly tired, okay, overly worn out, overly, you know, just exhausted? That's us. That is who we are. You know, let's face it. We get sometimes the fact that we are going through struggle. We're going through it. So it says, when we break the word down, it says that it also talks about it being worn out, where we are tired, we're sapped, S-A-P-P-E-D, sapped. We're debilitated. How many of us get down so low and Shirley O'Neal? Oh, longtime friend. Hey, girl, how's Callie? How is Callie? Love you, girl. Thank you for dropping in today. But let me ask you a question. Do you get weary at times? Come on. We're in weary times. We are in weary times. We got stuff going over. We can't personally control it. We cannot. But we have to admit that it's weary times and that we're weary over it, but that we occasionally may have to address it. Love you too, girl. Love you. So anyway, it says that we sometimes, with our weariness, we get drained. We're ready to drop. It says that we get shattered, scattered. We all over the place, you know. We wallow. Yes, sometimes we do. We're on the ground. Thank you, Joan. We're on the ground. We can't do nothing. We cannot do nothing. It says we also may have a period of where we are just whacked out. Okay, you can't give us another word, can't give us another look. You can't do nothing for us, because we have basically gone down in our spirit, gone down in our ability to function well with others. And sometimes we don't even function well without others because the others wore us out so much that even when we get by ourselves, we still can't settle down because of what went on when we were with the others. Okay. It might be the co-workers, might be the folks in your house. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It says sometimes we go down to the point where we are low. We are low in our spirit. We're low in our ability to do anything, and we're maybe physically low on energy, just physically low. And it says we're basically just tuckered out, pure tuckered out. We can't do anything else with it. We are. When we move on and actually breaking the rest of the word down, my W, and Joan wrote wallow, I wrote worn out. It's so simple. It says of a person or animal, extremely tired, extremely exhausted. That's what we are. When we've had enough, it might be physically that we show it. It might be emotionally that we can't even express it, or we're talking out of our head, okay? Or it might be that we have just withdrawn totally and we're not even social anymore. We're done. And sometimes I wonder about the people who become reclusive or the people that become hermit-like, sometimes it's just an incident that starts it off, and next thing you know, it's out there. Good morning, Michael Adams. Good morning. Thank you for coming in this morning. We're just out there. We don't know what to do because it's above where we are. It's above where we are. So when we're worn out, it says that we have fatigue, we're tired, we're straining. It says we may be drawn, okay? It says we also may be drained, peaky, we may be careworn. I never heard that word before, so I saw it this morning. But careworn, meaning we're not really doing well for ourselves. So our care is worn. It's in warning. We can't do much with it. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you? Today our word is weary, and I know occasionally we all get weary. It says also washed out, done in, whipped, and basically you've been gassed. Okay, your gases. That's it. You can't do another thing for anybody, and sometimes we can't do anything for ourselves when we're really weary. And I can honestly say, going through deaths with family members. And, somebody asked me the other day, we were talking about the whole genealogy thing that I've been doing, and some of them are working on it too. And one of the questions they asked was, who in your family is out of your sibling, because I'm baby of 10 are still living. There's only 2 of us. So 8 are gone. Parents gone, 8 are gone. And I was saying, you know what? Have you ever gotten to the point when you realize that at one time you were, in the middle of, having a nice crust because there were some people that had the cushion for you, and then you had the ceiling of your parents or grandparents, and then all that moves away. All that moves away, and it leaves you exposed to whatever the world has for you. What are you going to do? You grow into knowing more, you grow into being more, and you grow into doing more only because there's nobody else. You got to do it, and you got to set this tone for your children or grandchildren. So there you are. So you see that whole pecking order and that hierarchy, you see it going along, and you realize, at times you knew that they were weary. Why? Your parents, because you're weary. You understand that's just part of the goat rope that's out there. My E, as I move on, and Joan has already written, effect. And sometimes we don't realize the effect worry has on us and being weary, but it has an effect on us, has an effect on how well we're feeling, and maybe elevates our blood pressure. If we're diabetic, maybe has our sugar going out of whack, or it may be that we're just so exhausted we can't even get up out of bed. So being weary affects us greatly. It doesn't have any eyes on it. You have to be able to put your eyes on yourself and say, I got to do better. I have to do better. It says, but being exhausted is draining of one's physical or mental resources. And I talked about that a second ago, how sometimes we can't even tell ourselves it's time to turn over, it's time to get better, it's time to rest. And to rest without being weary is hard. Sometimes we don't even know how to do it. We don't know how to do it because we constantly go back to the same thing that brought us to that point. Or there might be so many things that is just hodgepodge, it's mumble jumble, it's all mixed up, it's absolute chaos in our heads and in our hearts, and therefore in our troubled way of life. We just feel it. So the exhaustion talks about it being broken down into being tired out, worn out. It says bone tired, okay, ready to drop, okay, zonked, frazzled. I like that word, frazzled, whipped. How many of us have been whipped by some of the things going on in our lives right now? We're whipped with it. We don't know how to handle it. And to me, anytime you have things invested, and that would be money, that would be hearts, that would be heads. So that's how we think, that's how we feel, and that's how we are somewhat, especially in this country, must be able to deal, which is we live under capitalism. So we have to understand that to not have any money is not a good thing. So we're worried about our money. We're worried about, will we have jobs? We're worried about, there's so many things that get us to that point of weariness. So many. So we talk about, if we move on from being worn out and exhausted, we also talk about the fact that sometimes we are all in, meaning we're in on whatever's going on, knowing that we need to pull out to make ourselves having a period of solitude, a period of quietness, a period of comfort, but a lot of times we don't. We just keep going, and we keep the TV on and listening to the news pundits, the political pundits, the news, the murders, the planes falling, all of this stuff. There's so many things that really deal with our reality, and they deal with our reality by letting us know what's going on. And then our reality takes over. And then we have fear, and we have anxiety, and we have weariness, and we have so many things, because we are not the ones that can fix the things that are wrong. We cannot. So we look at the all ins as completely committed to, or very much in favor of something. And a lot of times when we're all in on something, or we might be all in on thinking we're on the right side of something, and we might find ourselves on the opposite side, so things aren't going to be in our favor. They would just be in someone's favor, but not ours. And we have to be able to understand that, but also not only acknowledge it, but find a way to manage your feelings and manage your actions surrounding things that are out of your control. And it says when you're all in, you're also, something has been inclusive, meaning you're part of it. But let's face it, nowadays you can also not be a part of something and still be, a part of it, meaning it affects you, not just, excuse me, not just effect, but it's affect. You feel it inside. Can't make it make sense. No. Some things don't make sense. I believe even if you go back through history, there are things that happen that no one could ever make sense of. But did they happen anyway? Yes, they did. The things that were catastrophic happened. The things that were mind-blowing happened. The things that were cruel happened. They happened. And so even when we think of our own selves, we have to think about, how do I protect myself as much as I can from all the things that are happening, the things that are out of my control, the things that are above my way of dealing, but they affect me. They're close. And I didn't put affect down. I put all in, but affect is another good word that would go there. And so when we're all in, it says we're all embracing, we're broad gauged. We basically have made it a part of what might complete us at the time. And it's one that has, made it where it's comprehensive, meaning we're all in on it, where everything makes sense to us. I tell you, I was always a student that just had to ask the other question. And I tell you, my mother always said she didn't know where that kid talking about me came from, because no one else would ask questions. I did. And she'd finally tell me with a few extra words I'm not going to use, go sit down, go find something to read. And I did. But the point I'm making is sometimes if you don't question, you will never know. And then when you find your answer, even if it doesn't align with what you believe or what you want or what you desire, own up to that. Okay, just say, wow, that's interesting. But I also have to know that I'm not all in on it, because it doesn't really fit my paradigm. It's not me. It's not where I should be. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the rest of the word now. WEA I've done. So my R is for ready to drop. How many of us have just been so involved in everything that when we're finished, we are ready to drop? And I gotta be honest. I do that with a lot of projects that I work on, and I just work and work and work. And sometimes I, will barely get enough rest. And then I'm back up again, back up, trying to get to where it's completed, trying to get it to where I can feel comfortable about it. But, when we look at our lives, a lot of times we cannot get involved with all the things that we want to do. We have to, prioritize, absorb. That's a great word. How do we absorb some of the things? Retreat. Retreat. You are ahead of me today. She said retreat. How do you retreat, Joan? I don't know. But we need that. That's a good word. Retreat is good. And absorb is great. I love absorb, and retreat is even better, because sometimes that's what we need to do. We need to back out of being weary. We need to back out of it. We need to let ourselves know that what we can't do, we can't do. Plain and simple. If we cannot do it, we can't, And if we are worried about something that is either going on like majorly in the country, which is some of the things we're seeing now, you only tie into or buy into or all in on what affects you, to where that it makes a significant change. But if it doesn't, stay on the peripheral of it. Wait and see, what's, and to me, you can, that has to say that there must be hope someplace. If you're not a person that believes, in the almighty upstairs like I do, then you would probably say, well, whatever, I'm going to pray it out. I'm going to pray for something to happen that is positive and not a negative. So all in, and moving to the point where you're ready to drop. Ready to drop is true. That means you're done in also. You don't have any more in. It says you're bushed. It says you're dead tired. And I mean, some of us are dead tired from all of the, the different places to look and go and try to get, peace. It's like going, like when you get in bed and sometimes you can't get that right position to feel comfortable. Your head's not right, then it's your hip, then it's your back, So all of those things. This is the same thing in our lives. We do the same thing, but we're trying to get comfortable, and it's difficult. But it says ready to drop also talks about it being basically dead tired, again, depleted, done in, affected, which is what Joan said earlier, far gone, spent, okay, used up and worn out. When we think about some of the things that we've been through, we personally, we've been through something. And when you've been through something, you must acknowledge the fact that once you get on the other side of it, I made it through. It was difficult, but I made it through. I'm on the other side of all of that weariness, all of that weirdness, because sometimes what we go through, there's weirdness to it. Come on now. We don't even, understand that, but it does. And it says also when you're all in on something, it says you're longing sometimes for looking at what's the next. I don't know what's next. Well, I say always have a yearning to get on the other side. That's my why. Why, like WHY or why, as in yearning. I'm going to yearn to be peaceful. I'm going to yearn to be comfortable. I'm going to yearn to be, in control of what I can really be in control of, and have a good understanding of who I am versus whatever else, the hurricanes around me, the storms around me, the trouble around me. I yield. Yes, Joan. Yield is a wonderful word. Sometimes we have to stop. We have to stop. We have to realize we cannot do certain things. We cannot. But we can stop long enough to figure out what it is to do. And sometimes stopping is the best way. It's the best thing. It says as longing, as yearning. Yearning is in a longing or a strong wish for something. Well, I'm going to wish that things straighten out. I'm going to wish that I would be happy and comfortable and at peace and able to make decisions that affect me in the right way, not the wrong way. That's what I'm looking for. That's my prayer. That's my wish. And that's definitely my hope. So yearning also talks about longing for something and being thirsty for it, craving it, desiring it, having an urge to do whatever it is that you want to do, having that hunger. How many of us how many of us are hungry, not just for food, but for peace, for understanding, for quality of life, for, reasonableness in what we're doing with our money and where we're able to go and who recognizes us, who sees us, who understands us, Good morning, Enrico. How are you? You still doing good with the plays? Okay, now. Thank you for coming in this morning. I appreciate it. And it says getting rest is the best thing for weariness. It absolutely is. But some of us don't rest well in the first place. So to add drama and trauma and all kinds of what I would call anxiety issued things to our lives of already things going on in it just makes it where we become weary, which was our word for the day. We become weary, and I don't know. How many of you get a good night's sleep? Write it in there and write it in there if you're concerned, or write it in there if you're concerned about all the things that we hear on the news and what's going on with the economy and eggs. My daughter came over yesterday and she said, "You got eggs?" I said, "Yeah." So I was rationing the eggs because I said I might want to make some because I'm not a big egg eater, but we laughed because I let her cook 5 eggs and I was like counting them in the pan. But anyway, those kind of things, even though we can laugh about it a little bit, in the real world, I think I told you that I paid, that they had signs up at BJ's. They were 1991, I think it said, for 2 dozen of eggs. They might have been 18, about 2 boxes of 18, but excuse me, that's still $10 and change a box. Well, by the time you pay the tax. So we just have a way of going and realizing that things are costing us much more in terms of our time, in terms of our money, and let's face it, in terms of us not being weary. We have to look at the weariness of life. We are weary people. So yearning is also passion, and it's also a hankering. So I yearn and have passion for, and a hanker for, and a craving for, and a desire for, and a hunger for, a thirst for, and a longing for things to normalize. where the things that people currently are looking at that are good, that people are taking them and accepting them that they are bad, and the things that are bad, people are taking them and accepting them as they are good. So anyway, that's my word for the day. That is my word for the day. Thank you for the encouragement and being a light that the world desperately needs. 3 movies done in the family by sitcom filming in June. I'm continually blessed. Yes, thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Our stories need to be told, plain and simple. Plain and simple. Thinking about stories, there's a theatrical but production on Sunday at Greater Little Rock Baptist Church at 5 p.m. It's called Emancipation is a Priceless Boon, and or Abraham's Emancipation, or the Emancipation of Abraham, excuse me. And I'm one of the performers, so I am singing the character of Sarah, who is the love interest of Abraham. And Eric Dozier is he's part of the song maker, and will also be the pianist. And then we have Robin Richard, who wrote and is the narrator of the production. She's also the one who orchestrated the lyrics. And then we have her son, Lloyd Richard Jr., LJ, I call him. LJ will be the baritone singer. I will be, and he's Abraham. And then they have a new young man that came on the scene, and his name is I think it's Tyraniel Jones, and he is playing the captain. And of course, it's all set in Pensacola after the Civil War and after Lincoln had freed the slaves. And it's a reenactment of a love story that is going to be good. I hope you all will come. Doors open at 4:30. It begins at 5. And we're real excited. Our pastor, Dr. Lonnie D. Wesley III, has given the doors to be open and the people to come. And most of all, it is being sponsored by Jacqueline Harris Prep Academy. So we're going to come and have a good time. I hope you will come and join us. We're hoping that it will be a packed house, and we're looking forward to you, okay? I will see you on Monday with another word of Are You Stuck? Yes, we are. Occasionally we are stuck individuals, and we have to take into account who we are and whose we are. Okay, I'll see you soon. We'll be there. Thank you, Joan. Come early like me. Yes, right. Our deal. Yeah, come early. Elrico, come on and see what we're doing at the church. Let's see. I'm trying to think who else was on here. Miss Rosie, I know you're away, but if you're in town, come on down. Michael Adams, if you're in town, come on. Shirley, I know you're out of town. I was just making sure I went back through all of the people. Kalithia, if you're in town, come on. It's going to be a good opportunity to just see some folks and really do deal with the good things of life, of how we show our creativity, okay, for the world to see. I will see you then. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. Okay, it's supposed to rain this weekend, so take your rain gear and come on in the door, okay? As they say, come on in the room. I'll see you soon. Love you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.